Hey y'all, the dynamic duo for WoW is back. And also, we have another return of a WoW superhero, and we've got some bullying going on in the trios division. Who is going to get their lick back in the tag team division? It's just a lot of crazy stuff going on. But welcome to Steph and Kat Talk WoW.
Yeah, yeah. Making her way to the mic. They start dimming the lights. You start feeling alright. From Birmingham, home of the Teddy Longs and the Ruben Studders. More once you discover. For all of the lovers, Whitney Houston and Roman Reigns. For all of the lovers, and Mickey James and Marvin Gaye. For all of the lovers, and Sasha Banks, Janelle Monáe, Silk, Sonic, and Paige. Allow me to say, look, I just found a place, sweet escape. Every one of us, I was kinda late, so I just made it off the struggle bus. Walking by the fate, cause I know it's right in front of us. Yo, I ain't with the hate, gotta focus.
Hey y'all, welcome to a brand new episode of Steph and Cat Talk Wow, brought to you by the Hardy Wrestling Podcast and In Cat We Trust. Of course, I'm your girl Stephanie Hardy, host and creator of HWP Extra, and co-host of this fabulous platform, and writer for Daily DDT and color commentator feature on various promotions. But I am not alone. I have my tag team partner back with me, and I am so excited about it. If you can hear it in my voice, it's because it's real. Um, Katrina is back. She is, of course, the creator of In Cat We Trust, a world renowned, New York renowned, New Jersey renowned backstage correspondent for various wrestling promotions, an author, a panel creator of Women of Color in Wrestling, and also Women in Wrestling, which just happened at Florida SuperCon, and she's a super mom. She is just doing all the things, and I am forever proud of her. And I'm so happy that she's back with me. Because I've been doing these episodes by myself and I don't mind, but at the same time, I miss my girl. So, Katrina, how are you?
I am okay. It's been a very hectic few weeks, honestly, but I am happy to be back.
And I'm happy you are back because, of course, we're friends on all the socials and everything. But, it's just something about the magic of the both of us talking about WoW that I just really, really miss. And so, because life be life and, stuff happens, storms happen, appointments happen, all the stuff happens. And no one can really control any of that. But at the same time, there's just nothing like the both of us talking about this wonderful show that we love so very much. So, Kat, so much has happened in the world of WoW, even in real life outside of the TV show. And one of those things that did happen was the fact that WoW got renewed for season 4, and that was announced at San Diego Comic Con, because they, of course, did have a panel talking about women in wrestling with Jeannie Buss, David McLean, the Carlson twins, Paula Mayfield, and I also believe Santana Garrett was there as well, and Sibley Skulls, and that some of the episodes that we will be seeing within the next season will have been filmed at Fremont Street, which is what a lot of people called old Las Vegas. When I was able to go there, they call that old Vegas in comparison to the big Las Vegas strip that we see on television a lot of the time. So I think that's going to be amazing, and it's basically a first of its kind type of residency that they're having next season. So I'm really pumped for that. But now that we're back together, I just wanted to hear, your perspective. How are you feeling about the fact that WoW is getting a brand new season and a brand new setup?
I think it's cool. We saw I feel like it was a few months ago. I think where we were seeing like a lot of the ladies were in Vegas at one point doing different things, and there's a lot. I haven't been there in person yet, but there's the saying that there's a lot to say about Vegas, and so if you want to have like the excitement of something that is wild, that's probably the perfect place to kind of have a new renewed or even get new fans or renewed excitement for the brand. So I think that's pretty cool. um and yay to season 4, because I guess when we first started doing this iteration of covering this iteration, wasn't even sure how like long it was gonna go, or if it was gonna like we were hoping it just made it past the first season. And so here we are, 4 seasons in. We have different locations. They have tryouts, I believe, in Tampa. That's happening. They're at the San Diego Comic Con, and we saw them at LA Comic Con, but they're at San Diego, and San Diego Comic Con is like the biggest con of cons to be at. So that's super awesome, and so I'm excited to see what else WoW's cooking up.
Yeah, I'm very excited too, because oh my God, it's like you said, when it first started, we loved talking about it. But of course, you just never know because television is a very different animal than what it used to be back in the day. So you just never really know with shows like WoW and just even regular television shows, you just never know the staying power of what something is. But from what I've seen, even in like the reports that I've seen people make about WoW, it's like their viewership grows more and more each time. And then, of course, with the amount of power that Genie Bus is putting behind it, with their resources and everything else, it just continues to grow and get bigger. And their accessibility gets larger too because they're not only in syndication on CBS channels, they're also on Vice TV, they're also on Roku, and also on certain smart TVs if you watch like their 24/7 channel. So their accessibility is getting larger and larger. And I am just really happy that an all female um, brand can have this type of exposure in the United States because at one point, you had your few that was in there, but it wasn't really a lot. And then now you have a bunch of ones that are international, of course. But to have one that's based in the United States that's looking for talent from all over the world at this point, even branching out with their tryouts now, it's just really incredible. And it's even greater now because WoW gets to benefit from the desire for more alternative brands now. And with everyone wanting women to succeed in wrestling and have safe spaces in wrestling, I feel like this is now the perfect time for WoW to have everything that it has. So we are so ecstatic for it. We're so happy about it. And then, of course, with them having 4 seasons, this means that we have more to talk about, Kat. Steph and Cat Talk WoW continues to go on. So within the next month or so, season 4 will start and we will have more to discuss for our ladies. So we just want to say congratulations to all those women who put in the work for to make WoW what it is. Congratulations to David, congratulations to Jeannie and the whole crew cuz they keep it interesting, they keep it fresh and funny, but most of all, their action is always top notch and definitely competes with the best of women that we see on a weekly basis, even in other promotions. So it's great. I'm happy and I'm very pumped about it. So, in the midst of everything that's going on, we had this episode air this past weekend, August the 2nd and the 3rd, called All American Return. So in the midst of everything else that was happening in wrestling this past weekend, we had the return of a superhero. We had a lot of other crazy stuff going on, but this episode started with a recap of Tormenta becoming the WoW World Champion, which of course we are completely excited about. And then they showed her injury in her match after she won the world title because she wanted to be a fighting champion. She fought Reina Del Rey, and once Reina Del Rey hit her with an electric chair slam on top of the turnbuckle and then gave her a suplex, she landed on her shoulder weird, and we do not yet know the status of Tormenta at this moment, but she is determined to come back, as she did say on social media. So before we get into everything else, Kat, how did you feel watching Tormenta win the title only to sustain an injury right after?
It's sad because Tormenta has definitely been trying to get the title for some time. It was something I've talked about in the past of like I didn't understand at points why she was even sometimes in title pictures, only because I felt like she would lose and then she was right back into a match, and then you had women who might have won a match or did what they were supposed to kind of get back into the title picture, and she kind of went over that. And so I said that, but in this regard, she definitely did made her way back to it and made it in a way that made sense to me, at least. So to kind of win it is such a big deal to, to win the title only to lose it right after. It's just really unfortunate because it was something that, you know, it was exciting to see. Like, okay, a new champion, to see what this new title ring will bring to WoW. And anytime anybody ever gets hurt in wrestling, it's always like, oh man, like you don't want that to be the case, and you hope so. I do wish, and especially after people didn't know who she was, like we knew who she was when she appeared at the WWE joint event. People who may not have known who she was introduced to her with the event, and so it's unfortunate. I thought that was just a nice little segue for her to kind of break out as, she was tagging a bit, uh, with Princess Aussie. She was tagging a bit with, so kind of just have her moment for herself, and so it's unfortunate, but I do hope she recovers quickly, or soon.
Yeah, I hope she recovers quickly too, because I do not want her to have to give the title up the way that the Beast did. It's so funny. Me and my dad were just talking about the Beast earlier. But yeah, like I would hope that she wouldn't have to give up the title, considering she worked so hard to get it. But I guess it just depends on the timetable of the injury. But, like you said, we had watched her get in so many title pictures, even from the beginning. Like, I can't help but think about that one triple threat match she had with Reina Del Rey, ironically enough, and the Beast for the title, only to not win. And like you said, she would get in so many of these title matches and not win them over and over again. So when she got the number one contendership this time after, taking a break and tagging with Princess Aussie, I was thrilled about it. And for someone like her to sort of be on the right side of things, right next to the Classmaster and Samantha Smart, who were just using underhanded tactics a lot of the time, it was just so refreshing to see someone work hard and use like their crazy, amazing wrestling gifts to win, in a triumphant and happy, peppy, happy ending way. And now it's like she's injured and you're just like, God dang, like you hate it. You really hate to see it. And I just hope that they don't strip her of the title, which here again would leave it vacant like it once was when the Classmaster won it and they had to do that battle royale. So I don't know. I just hope she doesn't have to give it up. But we're sending healing vibes to Tormenta because she really has done amazing stuff this year in WoW, like you said, even with WWE and AAA. Like, she's done great stuff. So let's just hope that she gets better and goes back to destroying everyone and defending the title in the way that she deserves to. So, yeah. So after we get that recap, we get the Wild Trios champions top tier entering the arena to sort of big up their performance or big up themselves before the main event of this episode, which they're in. And Coach Campanelli started by saying, well, 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 we're here to give you a little preview and promote the main event tonight, which is top tier. And of course, you had somebody in the crowd chanting bottom tier, bottom tier. And then Coach said, bottom tier. Well, it sounds like you guys already primed and ready for us to win using our finisher, the bottom tier. Oh, don't worry, we won't disappoint. You know, as she was like, as all of you know, I'm the brains of this well oiled machine. But as some of you may not know, one of my favorite pastimes for relaxation is a Rubik's Cube because it gets the brain going. Now, mind you, I've never figured out a Rubik's Cube. Don't really want to. Not a puzzle girl. Not really. Give me word puzzles, but just don't give me those types of puzzles. Can't do them at all. Um, and that's what Davey McClain has been doing for us at WoW. They just keep mixing and matching opponents and sending them out to us, and tonight is no different. So, who do we have tonight? Gabriella Cruz, who's new and from Brazil, and I'm not sure what she brings to the table. But then Krush said, but it's not top tier. And then Coach said, and Chantilly Chella. And then Krush was like, already beat her. And then Coach said, and we have Kara Kai. You know, Kara Kai just can't get enough of top tier. And maybe that means it's time for us to put her on that bench next to Tara Strike and Ashley Blaze. And we would be happy to oblige. So so we'll circle back around, huddle up later, go ahead and take some notes. And then Gloria said, get ready to get those pulses up. And then Coach said, we'll show you why we're the greatest team in all of professional wrestling. You're welcome. And I I'll actually get to what I have to say about them later because I just feel like there's like a whole this whole episode was sort of just like a beginning, like I herald their beginning, I herald their end, I herald them at the very end. If you've seen Fantastic Four First Steps, you know what I mean. But all of that is like this whole episode was just sort of centered on them just being who they are, and there's a lot that I have to say about them. So let's move into the first match because I'm pretty sure Kat has a lot to say about them too with this episode. So yeah, match number one, we had the Brat Pack, BK Rhythm, and Gigi Gianni going up against Tiki Chamorro and Island Girl Kalaki. And of course, now that Katrina is back, we get to do BK's bars, which is her favorite part of our episodes together. So, before the match got started, BK said, "Okay, everybody, pipe down. You guys know how this goes." She said, "Looks like you two are back again. Remember last time? We got the pin. Because all the Brat Pack does is win, and we're about to send you back to the island." Ooh. And then the Wild fans were actually chanting at BK saying, "Please don't rap. Please don't rap. Please don't rap." And I was just like, see, Katrina done got in their head. Katrina done got in her fan's head and told her, "Please don't rap." And when I heard that, I just cackled. It was just so funny. So, yeah. Moving into the match properly though. The match started with a lockup between Tiki and Gigi, and they traded arm twists, and then Tiki actually tagged in Kalaki, who went for a headlock to Gigi, but then Gigi reversed it. And then Kalaki went ahead and reversed it too, and then tagged Tiki again. Towards the beginning of this match, you can see that Tiki and Kalaki had better chemistry than we have seen them have before. They were using the frequent tags in order to get the upper hand on Gigi. And it was one point where Gigi got so desperate after they were splashing her and spearing her that she got desperate to tag BK in. And then after that point, BK had kicked Kalaki and then tagged Gigi back in, and then Gigi prepared to kick Kalaki, who then moved out of the way for BK to get kicked. So a lot of the chemistry that we've seen the Brat Pack have in the like in the past, was definitely on the struggle bus towards the beginning of the match. Kalaki tagged Tiki with a side headlock applied, and then Tiki and Kalaki gave a double clothesline. Then Gigi got speared into the turnbuckle, and then she ducked another spear after Tiki celebrated prematurely, which bummed me out a bit because I was just like, Tiki, I understand you're a sweet girl and you like to celebrate and stuff, but sometimes you really have to lock in and focus before the match is over because your opponents can take advantage of that opening. And that's kind of what happened until, of course, well, that happened, and then BK sprung Tiki on the ropes, and then Kalaki distracted the referee while Gigi had the cover, and that wound up not working out well for them in the future. But then Gigi gave a knee to Tiki's back and hit a backflip splash. Then Gigi tagged BK, hit a double axe handle, and then BK gave shoulder tackles to the back of Tiki, and they hit the album cover on both of the ropes. Then BK was distracting the referee while Gigi hit a runway walk on top of Tiki. Just mad disrespectful. Why are we walking on top of people? Um, then BK splashed into Tiki's back. And then finally, after a lot of fighting back and forth with each other, Tiki fight out and gave a jawbreaker and tagged Kalaki in, who barreled through BK and Gigi, but then Gigi broke the count. And then finally, Kalaki was able to give a surfboard and a head strike while Tiki and Kalaki knocked um, BK off of the apron, and they wound up winning the match. So Island Girl Kalaki and Tiki Chamorro wound up getting a win and setting back the Brat Pack and their whole domination thing that they've had going on with the alliance. So this was very refreshing. This was a very good match, very high octane. Um and I enjoyed it. So Katrina, how did you feel about the match between the Brat Pack and the Island Girls?
I thought it was a good match. I did not like BK's bars, as you as you said, and I was very glad with the audience. I was like, yes, somebody is seeing the light of like we don't need the bars necessarily for your matches. With that being said, though, I do think it was a good match, and I'm always very impressed, in particular with Gigi. When she's wrestling, it's always like, oh yeah, like she's a heel, but it's also like, yes, yeah, she's doing so well. And so I'm always curious to see or what they're going to do, and not even just the two of them. They're going to try to make them go for tags because they've been together for a while. That I'm like, okay, a tag run, makes sense, or possible. Even her having like a solo run. I'm curious just because I think she's definitely just increasingly gotten better since we've seen Gigi. And I will agree with you know, I'm a firm believer is the you know something I'm going to probably butcher how Kobe used to say it, but in reference of you do not celebrate until it's over. And so like, and this was referenced into like the playoff games, and he was like excited and yes, be happy you won, but you celebrate when it's all done. And so in this situation, while it's not the playoffs, is you got to hold that together until you do the job, and then do all the celebrating you want. And so Tiki, I was like, girl, please, like let's get that together. Let's do that. But I am happy that they did wind up getting the win after all. But like, just hopefully for future reference, she knows like you celebrate after you got the bell and it's a ringing that you won, and it's been announced, and then you have a time. But it was a good match.
Yes, it was Kobe who said, "Job's not finished. Job's not finished." Like, because the reporters was asking him, "How come you're not celebrating? You know, you guys are ahead in the finals." And he said, "Look, job's not finished." And it wasn't. And it wasn't. So, that's exactly what Tiki needs to adopt from now on. Of course, we've never wrestled before, but sometimes, you do have to sort of just lock in when the job isn't finished. You still got to go. And I'm so glad that Tiki and Kalaki didn't let that deter them from getting their goal and ultimately winning, because the Brat Pack, like, they and the Alliance collectively have been on this mission to sort of prove that they can dominate all of WoW. And it just seemed like here lately they have been winning a lot of their matches. And even with Reina damaging Tormenta in that world title match, it's like there was a level of high feelings that they were having. But at the same time, I was just really glad to see Tiki and Kalaki actually get this win, because they deserve it, number one. And number two, um, I just want the Brat Pack to just sort of chill out for a second and really just relax. And like you said, Gigi really is an impressive talent that I feel like doesn't get enough praise on this show. And that's not to say that BK isn't, but at the same time, Gigi is a fantastic talent, and she deserves a big solo run at some point on WoW in the future, because she is like one of the top wrestlers there. Like, a lot of the things that she does and gets away with in the ring, from her jawbreakers to just her tough demeanor while also being a gorgeous gorgeous girl, is just absolutely nuts. There's just so much more for her that I would see down the line. So even though her and BK have like this formation going on with their tag team, I would love to see Gigi be like maybe the next one to challenge a Tormenta, or whoever would have the WoW World title at that point, because that would just be great for her, because she's just really good. So yeah, but it was really great to see Tiki and Kalaki get the win and have their chemistry on display and watch them grow. So that was really good. So we move into match number two. Speaking of singles work, we have Fury versus the Albanian grappler Xena Phoenix. They gave Xena Phoenix this amazing walkthrough down the hallway before she put her gear on, and it was definitely giving runway. And I was like, get it, Xena. You better be a double um threat with your talent. Like, if she decided to not wrestle and be a model, it would definitely work, because she just has a very unique look to her, and she's gorgeous. So I'm just like, okay, girl, I like it. I really like it. So they did big up the fact that Xena has only had one loss since her debut on WoW, which is sort of like, I believe, in tag team or in trios work if I'm not mistaken, but if I am mistaken, please correct me. Miss Ma'am has been dominant, and she was one of my favorites to possibly win that battle royale they had for the Wild World title. But here again, she is still new. And seeing her go up against somebody like Fury, who's a WoW OG, was turned out to be a really good second match here towards the middle of the show. As both ladies locked up, Fury bashed into Xena's back in order to break free from the lockup, but then Xena hit a headlock takeover onto Fury. Fury locked and tried to choke out Xena with her legs, but then Xena then hopped out and then reversed the hold into a pin, into a jackknife pin. We saw a lot of those in this episode actually to a 2 count. Xena then took a used a waistlock takedown and a grappling technique all over Fury. Something that David and Nigel did bring up is how quick Xena Phoenix moves whenever she's getting her grappling stuff down. Like when she knocks you down, it's almost like she's swirling around you in order to sort of discombobulate her opponent, and just sort of make it seem like, oh, you don't know where I'm going next, you don't know where I'm gonna, target next, and wherever she lands, it's just wherever she lands. And that's kind of what was going on. And then it was a 2 count because Fury kicked out of it, but it was crazy, like in real time, to just sort of see how fast she moves and what her technique is. It's really unique and special. Then she hit a suplex for a 2 count, but then Fury gave a roll up pin for a 2 count. Fury was definitely game for Xena Phoenix though. She gave her a clothesline and a suplex, and then kicked her, and then gave a headbanger's ball onto the ropes. Fury then tossed Xena and gave a headlock, but then Xena battled back with Japanese arm drags, but then Fury gave her her patented backhand in her face, pow, and then gave her a flatliner. But then Xena ducked Fury's attack into the corner and then tossed her into an armbar, and Fury had no choice but to tap out because, of course, once you get that arm and lock it in, that's just kind of it for the show. And Xena Phoenix wound up winning via submission. So yeah, that was really cool. I love this match. Fury proved that she was all game for her. She can really go up against anybody and have a good match. Fury um was somebody who I kind of talked about last week as someone who I would love to see have gold around their waist because she is a WoW OG and she always brings her A game. But I think we'll talk a little bit more about what other gold she could be going for later. But Katrina, how did you feel about her versus Xena Phoenix?
I thought it was a really good match. Fury is the one who I knew she was part of like the first iteration as well. But when we went into this iteration, she came with a squad. There was two other girlies, with her when she started, and then it kind of felt at points we wasn't sure what we were going to get out of Fury as far as she was going to be a duo or trios or just a solo superhero. And it seems like she has been thriving, I do think, as a solo superhero with regards to her matches. And I think that, I don't know if it's going to lead to her to have more opportunities. I'm hoping it does, where she might get a title shot, or, they'll put her up in like a main, not, I don't want to even say main storyline, because I do feel like WoW's pretty good at kind of switching up the talent per week, where even if we get like a repeated person, we pretty much see majority of the roster at some point. And it's not like 6 months go by and you're like, wait a minute, like, a lot of times if the person's not there anymore, it's one thing. But I mean, most times we can see most of the roster on the show. And so I don't want to say like a main story, because I feel like that's not the right word. But like, I would love to see what they would do if they give her like a title shot, or if she has a story now, leading to her trying to, get a title. With that being said, I do think from Xena Phoenix's first match, she is also tremendously improved in regards to seeming more comfortable. And like, she had a good energy when she first, but she seems more comfortable now. I feel like she's more confident in what she can do, and it shows when she's wrestling. I feel like now she has more oomph, for lack of a better word, when she's wrestling now. And I think so. I think because of that, it definitely made for a really good match. So I enjoyed it.
Yeah, I really, I never really thought about that because I guess to me it seemed like Xena was comfortable from the jump. I guess to me from my perspective, but your perspective is 100% valid because here again, This is her first time wrestling on TV. And of course, it could be a bit different, becoming more comfortable with that level of wrestling as opposed to wrestling like in a closed off place like a gym or like a school or something like that. So your perspective is 100% valid. But to me, I didn't see anything that gave off the impression that she wouldn't be, but Miss Ma'am really has been leaning further into it, into being a performer on television. I love watching her. I never get tired of watching her. But yeah, in the case of Fury, she just there's just something more that she does deserve, because it's like you said, when we did see her, she came in with the Heavy Metal Sisters. And it could be argued that if the Heavy Metal Sisters were still a thing with Mesmeriah and Razor, that they could have challenged for the trios titles if they existed at that time. They did not. But of course, now that Fury has been on her own, she's proven that she can stand on her own and also stand with other teams as well. So, um, and it's so funny that we're talking about this because it's going to lead further into what we're going to talk about in the episode. But yeah, Fury, she deserves a lot more in terms of singles competition and them just not pigeonholing her, in teams. But at the same time, what's about to happen for her could be amazing in that regard. But of course, Fury tapped out in this match against Xena Phoenix, and Xena Phoenix is on the rise, no pun intended. Um, and I just can't wait to see more of what she has to offer within these next few episodes leading into season 4. It's going to be cool, and I'm excited. So, moving into match number 3, we have more singles work, and we have the return of a superhero in the form of Americana going up against Scout Parker, who came out with her environmentalist friend Sprout Greens. Sprout Greens and Scout Parker have been getting into it with Big Rig Betty and not Holly Swag, I'm sorry, Big Rig Betty and Jesse Jones, because their last tag team match, Big Rigs and Bourbon wound up getting the win, but Scout and Sprout wound up stealing that special wooden stick that was given to Jesse Jones by her trainer, the late Tracy Smothers. And they didn't come out with it on this episode, but it can be assumed that we will get a finish to that story, because Jesse really does care, and really did care a lot about Tracy, because he trained her and basically molded her into the wrestler that she is today. So I'm more than sure that she's going to get back at them for that. But of course, in the meantime, we have the returning Americana, who we have not seen in a long time. I was so happy to see her back, especially seeing as she took some time to be a mother to Levi. And Levi was up front. It seems like he's grown so much since the last time we saw him. Like, he done got big, big. Oh my God, stop it. Stop it. It's so funny how I feel that way, and I've never had a child. Like, sometimes they just grow so fast. But Americana is back, and they said on commentary that Santana Garrett was happy to see Americana back, and I thought for sure maybe she would come out here and try to even the odds in this match, as Sprout Greens kept trying to interfere, but she wasn't. So I guess she just wanted to let Americana have that moment. But as both of these ladies locked up, they both traded headlocks to each other. There was a reversal and a takeover from Americana. Scout wound up taking over with a leg lock, but then Americana shifted her weight for a jackknife pin attempt, the second one of the episode. I'm such a nerd. Americana rolled up Scout for a 2 count, and then backflipped to duck an attack from Scout, and then rolled under her. A lot of her agility has definitely been missed, because seeing her sort of duck away from an attack with a backflip and then go under her with the roll up was kind of lit. I was like, okay, girl, I missed this. I liked it. Then she gave an arm drag and a backflip elbow to Scout in the corner of the ring. But then Scout then tripped up Americana, who fell into the turnbuckles, and then Sprout, for the first time in this match, interfered and pulled on Americana's head through the ropes. And then Scout gave an impressive short run up for a 2 count. And then Sprout got involved again, and elbowed Americana off the apron. Or, well, no, she got elbowed by Americana off the apron. And as the match kept going on, they cut to backstage, where we saw a brawl take place between Holly Swag, Penelope Pink, the Wild Tag Team Champions, and the Carlson sisters. So as they're brawling and as they're fighting, the match is still going on. Scout gave a climate disaster, which you can see in that picture right there. Um, for a 2 count, and then she gave a Boston Crab to Americana, who then flexed out of it and then sat down into a pin. Then Americana battled back with a clothesline and a drop kick, and then climbed to the top rope and knocked Scout off of the top rope as well, and then hit a backflip, well, not a backflip, a moonsault in order to win the match. And Americana won her first match back at WoW in forever. That was so amazing and so triumphant. I loved it. She celebrated with Levi and everything was cool. So, yeah, Katrina, how did you feel about Americana's first match back, and the brawl that we saw between the Carlsons and Holly and Penelope?
I wasn't just before I get into the match. I wasn't surprised about the brawl because I feel like everything has just been, the tension between them in the last few months has been a lot. You know, I feel like at some point it's kind of almost like how it was partially with like the Miami Sweet Heat and the Tonga twin, like how it was just like so much like history, but then also a lot of like animosity, and so it always came out in these brawls. And I feel like you're in a group with a person you're thinking you're just like, oh, you're supposed to be for me, but then it seems a little bit suspicious, or like some like the person who is supposed to be in charge of everybody seems like there's sides being picked, and so I can understand how there could be a lot of like feelings and things, tensions boiling over, and so I wasn't surprised about that. With that being said, I do think it was cool to see Americana back because it's been a little bit, and as a mom myself, I can definitely understand the having to do what you need to do. And sometimes in that case, you wind up missing things or not being able to attend or do things because, mom duty calls. So I definitely understand that. Definitely as, you know, a mom, but it was nice to just kind of see that again. And while I guess parts of them saying that, Santana was happy, that she was back. I do think a part of it was also just let her have her moment. She was there with her son. This was her first time in months. Let her just have that. And I feel like sometimes a good friend will also know at this time I don't even need to be there. I don't need to overstep or put myself in this position right now. Let my friend have their moment. And so I thought it was fine that she wasn't there. But I do think, with Scout in particular, it's nice because it's so funny saying Scout because I know what her other character was. So it's so weird to say like, but you was just this person. And for me, because when she was previously ice cold, of how much growth we saw for her, like we really did see from when we started talking about it to before she came with a character change, that she's really grown as a wrestler and more sure of herself. And so it's always kind of like, I'm like, oh man, you're not that anymore. You're Scout. But I feel like what we saw her growing in as ice cold has translated over to Scout, like where you can see like, okay, she's clearly now she's in her own, and no matter what the gimmick is. And so I thought there were times where she definitely was showcasing what I think she's learned since we started talking about WoW. I thought it was a really entertaining match though. And while I do like the tenacity of Scout, I am happy Americana came back to a win. It's always nice, like, yay, he came back, and now you got a extra yay because you won or whatnot. And so that was cool. But I thought it was a really nice match, and it was a nice little welcome back for Americana.
It really was. And it's so funny you said when you said you remembered Scout's old persona, and guess what played in my brain? What's cooler than being cool? Ice cold. What's cooler than being cool? Ice cold. But yeah, I guess she was tired of being ice. She was definitely tired of being cooler than cool and just had to, reconnect with nature. And now she's Scout. But even seeing her as Scout, like there's a lot of groundedness to how she wrestles now. Then on top of that, she's not afraid to go high either, which is a lot of what she did as Ice Cold. And I really appreciate that level of talent. But what I don't appreciate is her and Sprout stealing things. Like and taking people's like items that are special to them. So I'm more than sure Big Rigs and Bourbon are going to come and get them. So um yeah, that's going to be really interesting. But Scout definitely did bring her A game against Americana, and clearly Americana didn't show any ring rust. So I'm really happy about that, and I'm just happy to see her back. And they did wonder on social, well, not on social media, I'm sorry, but on the show on commentary, David did sort of, wonder if Americana and Santana were going to get back together as a tag team, or will they just go their separate ways? Because it does feel that Santana has been sort of pushing and working her way back to a Wild World title opportunity, and she might still want to go after that. Um, but then Americana might, but then who knows? I don't know. We don't know yet. But either way, it's a fair question to ask.
Yeah, it is. We'll see.
Hmm. Yep, we will see. I just hope they don't have to fight each other, because if they do, that would rip me to shreds. That would rip me to shreds to see Santana and Americana have to fight each other. Like, excuse me, get the F out of here. Um, I will not appreciate that at all. I just won't. So, in the midst of in response to the backstage brawl between Miami Sweet Heat and Penelope Pink and Holly Swag, they announced that this weekend we will be seeing a lumberjack, or I guess you could say lumberjill match, between the two tag teams. They didn't necessarily say if the titles would be on the line, but I hope and pray they are, honestly. And they did say that they will reveal who will be the lumberjacks slash lumberjills in that match right before it. So that adds some intrigue to this weekend's episode. Um, Now, before we get to our main event, we go backstage with Sibley Skulls, who did talk more about the main event and stuff. And I was here again happy to see her be a part of the panel that they had at San Diego Comic Con. And I'm pumped to see that hopefully she will be making a return too, because she has been a welcome part of the show. She's very beautiful. She adds excitement and flair to it, and she even adds a little bit of humor as well um, to the things and to the interviews. So I'm very excited that Sibley is a part of the show, and I hope to see her in the next season too. So, with more action backstage before the main event, we see Top Tier making their way back to the arena, and they run into Daisy Lane. This is where the dragging begins. Top Tier see Daisy Lane, and Coach basically comes at her and almost calls her Pep Riley as a form of disrespect, because she knows that her name isn't Pep Riley anymore. And she talked about, and then she actually said, I guess one coach's trash is another person's trash. And then they proceeded to bully her even more. And then Krush, of all people, had the audacity to take and snatch Daisy Lane's doll, Little Daisy, and rip the head off of it and dangle it in her face when Daisy was begging her to give it back to her. So, in the midst of them bullying her and pushing her around or whatever, Fury runs back there and defends Daisy Lane and talks about how this isn't okay and how this isn't cool. And in my brain, once this happens, I'm just like, bro, what if Chainsaw hears about this, and how is this going to work out? Um, and will this lead to like them getting back together? I don't know. But Katrina, I just want to know how you felt about this interaction, because it's just really interesting how this storyline is coming back up, considering how Daisy used to be attached to Coach when it came to Team Spirit, and now they're not anymore. But now she decided she wanted to bully her, and then Crush is the one to tear apart the doll when she went through all that she went through with her grandma's boxing gloves. So yeah, you go ahead and go into it, Katrina.
Yeah, no, Coach being, a little bit rude, I feel like she always kind of been. And so while I know she has like the thing of like, oh, it's what I say and I'm right and all that, and that's fine and well, I wasn't too surprised about her with regards to Daisy of not being that, because she wasn't really nice to Daisy before, like once she realized that she felt like she wasn't in charge of things, she started feeling away. It's kind of how we got top tier in the first place, like so for Daisy, I felt like I expected it that. And while I know that Crush is part of top tier now, and she, feels like you got to listen to Coach, and she feels that this has gotten her to a place she wanted to get to, she should have known better in regards to like, girl, did you not lose? Did you not have your gloves taken from you? Were you not upset about that? And so even if it might not have had what she thought might have been a significant level because it was like a family kind of thing, whatever the case may be, still Daisy's thing. It's still her item. It's You don't have to necessarily understand it of what the attachment is or why she wants to have it or whatever the case may be. We don't have to do that, but you don't take things that don't belong to you. I'm a firm believer of if nobody is harming you in the process of whatever it is that they're doing or engaging with, it should not concern you. And so this is definitely something that she didn't have to even involve herself in, and to destroy something. Like at least with the gloves, she got the gloves back. She had, it wasn't like you destroyed something. So it's a very different level of like you already like did that, and then you did an extra level of disrespect by destroying something that you can't, even if you try to fix it, it just won't be the same. And so it's unfortunate because I feel like in this regard now, that's not really top tier kind of behavior, like you call something top tier and you're like, oh, this food was top tier, this event was like that level of supposed to be like, you know, damn near perfection, and then you're acting like this. And it's like, you guys, what would be the reason? What would you just want to start with people? And so I feel like there's no way to even make that make sense, or if coach want to try to spin that into something about coach was right, you can't even in this regard because they were involved in you. Daisy was minding her business. It wasn't like she started with you and you felt you had to let her know something. Like, and so she should have just got to do better. I like to tell people do better. She needs to do better. They need to do better because I was like, that's icky. That's ill. I don't do well with bullies. So I was like, that dad need to behave a little better about this.
Yeah, you know what's so funny? I feel like I feel like I understand that you said, that you didn't like any of it, but I have three levels of ways in which it made me mad. The first level being, like you said, Daisy was just minding her business. Put the emphasis on Daisy Lane, coach, because you calling her Pep Riley when she's made clear that that's not her persona anymore is just ridiculous. And it was very, very disrespectful. She was minding her own business and she was sitting there, and you guys were supposed to be on your way to your match. Why aren't you focused on what you got going on instead of bullying somebody who had to rise up from what they went through with you? Because like you said, Katrina, when Pep Riley was made to be a part of Team Spirit, even along with Sasha Sparks, she didn't like it, and she was always undermining them, which led to the forming of top tier, like you said, in the first place. Um, because she always felt like it was always supposed to be big I coach and little you teammates. And that's just the energy that I just don't even feel like has even changed at this point, even with top tier. Um, I hated how the way, and speaking even about the way that Crush acted with the doll, it's like something that I think about a lot. It's sort of like the evolution of where Crush started, like when she first started at WoW. She started off with all of this drive to be the best, and she talked about how she wanted to even, be a WoW world champion at some point, and how she even helped Princess Aussie, get back to her um self to a degree with her punching, with her strikes and everything else like that, and how she wanted to prove to herself that she could go into this new sport and, excel at it. It's like who she was then and who she is now are two totally different people. Like, Crush has literally lost the plot. She has lost the plot so much so to the point to where she has become what she hates. Like, it's almost like how CM Punk said, look, told John Cena, like, you are what you hate. Like, that's basically what she's become. She's become the villain. And I hate that for her because at one point she was one of the hungriest girls. She was like the bar where if a new WoW superhero would come in, they would have them face off against Crush. Like she was basically like the measuring stick at that point. And now she's just become this bully that she didn't want people to come at, at first. Like when when Team Spooky was coming after her and playing mind games with her in those gloves, she hated that. So now she's doing that to Daisy Lane, and it's just like, girl, you have officially lost the plot. You have lost who you are, and I'm gonna need for you to find it like real quick because it's just really ugly. Then on top of that, which makes me even angrier about the situation, it's just why even do that to her when she wasn't even bothering you? Like that's really what angers me, the most about it. And then I'm so happy that Fury came and actually caped up for her in that regard because, if Chainsaw of course came later and saw what happened. But at the same time, just I was just happy that Fury came and defended Daisy Lane because the way that they treated her was just so trash, and I just hated that so much. And this is why I'm gonna need for top tier to really just lose at this point. But before we get to that, we do have to go to the main event, which was top tier um versus Gabriella Cruz, Chantilly Chella, and Kara Kai. And of course, this was really interesting because we did see Kara Kai sort of dance with Chantilly Chella on her way to the ring. That was really cute. But then Gloria Glitter and Gabriella Cruz wound up starting. They traded knee strikes with and arm twists with each other. And they also had backflips and roll out of holes with each other. But then Gabri wound up tagging Chantilly Chella in. And Chantilly jumped from the top rope in order to keep applying pressure to the arm that Gabriella had a hold of with Gloria Glitter. Chantilly then tagged Karakai while holding on to Gloria still, and then gave her arm drags over to her corner, and she tagged in Crush. And then Kara came in and then kneed Crush and held on to her to tag in Gabriella again, and then she gave a sunset flip to Crush for a 2 count. Um, Chantilly, Gabby, and Kara then kicked and drop kicked Crush all together for a 2 count. Then Chella hit an arm drag to Crush and hit another one of the ropes after Crush tried to duck her. And then Crush dragged Chantilly to the mat and then tagged in Gloria. And then Gloria kneed Chantilly and tagged Crush back in. And then Crush ran into a turnbuckle after Chantilly moved out of the way. And in the midst of everything that was going on, Kara wound up lighting Coach up after she came in and struck her and kicked her multiple times. But then both ladies danced a bit between each other with their arms until Coach hit a twisting neck breaker for a 2 count. I feel like Coach has definitely evolved her in-ring game since the first time we even saw her. We don't give her credit enough because, of course, now she's just doing all this underhanded crap. But at the same time, she is really good in the ring, and she's gotten like her game has definitely evolved. Coach then tagged in Gloria, but then Crush illegally joined the action and knocked Chantilly and Gabriella off the apron, and then Crush. And Gloria picked up and dropped Kara on her back for a 2 count. And then eventually Kara started fighting back, but then Gloria was giving knee assisted jawbreakers to Kara, but then Kara flipped it into a pin for a 2 count. Then Coach and Crush gave a double elbow to Kara. But then they go backstage again. They're cutting backstage, and we see Chainsaw reacting to Little Daisy being torn up after Fury told her what happened. And so she runs away in anger, but the match continues to go on. Crush and Gloria tried to drop Kara again, but then Kara landed on her feet and then lit them up with kicks and headbutts. And then Gabriella tagged in and gave a double drop kick to Gloria and Crush and an elbow to Coach, and then gave a Thez press to Gloria, judo throws, a spear, and double knees slash meteora to Coach. But then Coach kicked Gloria to shift the weight into a pin, but then she kicked out. Then Gabby gave Gloria a drop kick, and then Coach and Crush broke it up. Then Kara and Chantilly fought back. It turned into a brawl. And then Coach and Crush threw out Kara and Chantilly. And then Gloria hit a code breaker, and Coach and Crush hit the bottom tier to Gabriella Cruz in order to win the match. And top tier celebrated their win, but then they couldn't really celebrate that long because Chainsaw came out there to get their lick back for Daisy Lane, and she barreled through all of them. Um, she barreled through every member of Top Tier in order to get the lick back for Daisy Lane, and Fury proceeded to watch on as it happened. Top Tier essentially just ran away after getting beat up, and they celebrated afterward. And a part of me is just wondering, is this the way in which Fury is finally going to get some gold around her waist? Are we going to see heavy metal horror reunite and take on Top Tier? Is this going to be the combination to take down Top Tier? Because if so, I'm happy about it. If that's the case, then I am absolutely thrilled about it because they have just been bullying people for far too long, beating up and injuring women for far too long. And I would just love it if Chainsaw, Daisy Lane, and Fury brought together heavy metal horror to destroy them. I would just love it at this point. Destroy them all. Make it happen. I'm here for it. So Katrina, how did you feel about the match and what happened afterward with heavy metal horror and top tier?
I thought the match was a good match. I definitely thought, there was some fun aspects, but I believe the fun aspects was mostly because of, Chantilly. I think, she just has really high energy and whatnot, and that always shows in her matches. With that being said, I do think that, you know, excuse me, Coach definitely also has gotten better. In the ring, as you said, like in regards to like you can see from again when we first started watching the difference of certain things, the difference of certain like aspects of that. I did think that this, was a good match. With that being said, you know, it's unfortunate that they still won considering everything that they did. I'm like, ugh, you guys, like I get it, but it's also just like, I don't know, maybe just act a little better. Maybe I wouldn't be so annoyed if you acted a little better. Um, and they won the match. With that being said, in regards to Fury, it would be very cool, especially with me stating that if they do happen to get like the trios title, maybe that'll be the rule that she needs to kind of start off some title stuff happening for her at WoW, just because again she's kind of been one of the people while she's been in a few things with like a duo, solo, trios at a point. We haven't had any like set storylines except for the fact when she first left, you know, um where it was that little bit of a we wasn't sure if they were gonna be together, and then it was the whole like they were kind of fighting, like when she was still figuring out what she was going to do. And so I think that's something you're like, you know. But I thought it was a good match. I just wish, that at some point somebody has to put Top Tier in their place or something. Something has to give. Something has to give for how they've been acting and how they've been treating people.
You're right. Something does have to give, and it's looking like Chainsaw wants to give it. Okay. And if she wants to give it along with Daisyland and Fury, then I am all for it. Because even here lately, Chainsaw and Daisyland have been kicking butt in tag team work. And even though Fury has not been winning, a whole lot, them together being the final, team to take down top tier would be absolutely fantastic, especially given how they treated Daisy Lane. Like, it's like, Coach, she's just one of those spiteful people who just wants to kick you when you're down. Like, you already benched her when she was on Team Spirit and replaced her and Sasha Sparks with Gloria and Crush. And then you kick them out of Team Spirit, you form top tier. Um Pep Riley essentially has to reinvent herself into Daisy Lane and channel this dark part of her. She found a friend in Chainsaw, and that's not even okay with you. Like, she lives her life away from you for the most part, learns how to do that, but yet and still you feel the need to come after her and target her for no reason. Like, that's not cute. That's not cute at all. And I hope that at some point we do get a trios title match, because here lately it's top tier have been in these non-title matches. So I think it's about time Heavy Metal Horror get their chips together and challenge him for those trios titles and take it away, because they just need to be knocked down a peg or two. Top tier is getting overkill. I'm tired of them. It's just time. It's time. So essentially, that's how the episode ended. It ended with Chainsaw and Daisy Lane and Fury standing tall over those bully um oh god, I almost said a bad word. I'm sorry. Over those bullies. So I got too into it. But of course, that brings us to the end of our time together. So of course, thank you guys so much for watching Steph and Cat Talk Wild live. And of course, if you weren't able to catch it live, know that you can watch it on both of our YouTube channels, on In Cat We Trust and the Hardy Wrestling Podcast. And of course, know that you can watch WoW Superheroes. You can figure out where it comes on for you on regular television by going on wowe.com. That's WOWE.com. Typing in your zip code and seeing what channel it comes on for you. It also comes on Vice TV on Tuesday nights, if I'm not mistaken. So please catch it there. You can also subscribe to their YouTube channel and watch episodes there as they upload them the week after their new episodes air. And also, you can watch them on Wrestling Central on Roku TV, because they also have a partnership with NWA where they air their episodes there if you have that. And just continue to support them and support all of women's wrestling as a whole, because um, as this week has shown, we need more safe spaces for women in wrestling, and we just need to continue to uplift each other. So if you are looking for that type of alternative, WoW is here for you. The characters are fun and they are colorful. The show is colorful, but the basis of it is women's wrestling excellence. So please watch it, and after you watch it, you can come watch us on this post show. So Katrina, let everybody know where they can find and follow you and what you've got going on.
You guys can find and follow me on Cat We Trust. The E's are through in every place but Twitch, YouTube, and Facebook. I just worked the weekend of shows last week, so I basically covered four promotions, which was busy but cool. Busy but cool. And so you can check those interviews as they're being posted on Instagram. I'm not necessarily collabed in it, so I usually put in my stories, but or repost it. So you can see those there. I will have the panel from Florida SuperCon up in the next few days. I've kind of been very busy, so I haven't had a chance to put the footage up yet, but that'll be up soon. Just check me up. I'm in the New York, New Jersey area. I do shows in the areas around there, so stop by, say hi. And then sometimes I am working a premiere or I'm at an early screening, and so if I do like little vlogs about that, that's what's happening. So that's basically what's been going on outside of me doing the mom stuff. Follow me there. You'll see everything that's happening.
Awesome sauce. Awesome, awesome, awesome. I can't wait to watch that panel, because I do, like, I wish I was able to make it. But it was a week right after Evolution. So I was like, God dang it. I gotta re I gotta get my jobs and my coins together. But yes, I'm so happy that you were able to do it there. So I can't wait to watch it and watch everything else you've got. But of course, y'all know you can follow me, your girl Stephanie Hardy, on Instagram and on Twitter/X at Queen Steph Hardy. You can follow my show, The Hardy Wrestling Podcast, on Instagram at Hardy Wrestling Podcast and on Twitter/X at Hardy WrestlePod. The channel got to 504 subscribers, and I am so happy about that. I'm so grateful. So keep subscribing to the channel, to the YouTube, and also keep sharing any clips that you see that might resonate with you as well. So, yeah, I'm going to keep sharing those as long as I feel like it. Also, I'm restructuring HWP. I have a new co-host in the form of Bianca Addison, who is who has been watching the show for a long time, and she wanted to join as a co-host. So I'm happy to have a platform with her in that way. So I'm not sure if we'll have an episode tomorrow. I'm not sure. I'm still trying to figure it out. But either way, I'm just so thrilled for all the new stuff that's happening for HWP at this point. And hopefully, the growth will continue and I can continue to create a safe space. When I created my show, when I always called it, a safe space for people who want to talk wrestling in a less than hostile way, and but in a passionate way that's still very chill. I never thought a safe space would turn into a space for other people. I never thought about that until it happened. So now I'm just trying to figure it out for myself and just figure out what's going to happen with that. Also, I have a new article with Daily DDT where I talk about women's wrestling ruling all major promotions in 2025. And I did write about WoW Superheroes being one of those promotions. So if you have not read that article yet, the link is in my bio everywhere. Please read it. I will reshare it because I was really happy to write about women's wrestling as a whole, just taking over and carrying all the major promotions. And I was happy to have given WoW my time in that way. I've always wanted to. So I'm really glad to have done that. So just continue to support me, support the vibe, and see how we're going to continue to evolve in this wrestling space. So, with that being said, this has been Steph and Cat Talk Wow, brought to you by HWP Ed and Cat We Trust. And until next time, bye, y'all.